Good morning guys, welcome to another Pilgrim car review. We are actually shooting this review right around Christmas, so Merry Christmas to all of you. Actually, by the time you watch this review, it will probably be way past Christmas, but in any case, Merry Christmas. Thank you for supporting the channel over the past year. For today's review, we actually have the MINI Cooper Convertible, which is this car that you see behind me. And I thought it was a really nice car to have over Christmas. Thank you so much, MINI Singapore, for lending us the car over the Christmas period, because I did have some fun driving with the top down during Christmas. But in any case, for today's review, we are going to check out the exterior of the car, tell you a little bit about how the car drives, and share with you what it is like to possibly own a MINI Cooper Convertible in Singapore. But before we do all that, if you are a driver in Singapore and you are thinking about selling your car for the best price possible, or consigning it for the best price, or if you need an insurance code renewal, please check out the link in the description box below, because through those links we'll be able to help you or assist you to do all those things. It is free to inquire, so if you are in need of those services, be sure to check out the links. And with that, let's get on with the review. Alright, so jumping straight into the review, this is the exterior of the MINI Cooper Convertible, and as you can see, this is a soft top convertible, and this is the paint job on this car is something that they call like silver white, and I think it's really cool. It's got a real upmarket creaminess to it that I think separates itself from the regular silver or white color that you see on other cars. But in any case, of course these cars do come in much more exciting colors as well, so I think that's all up to you. But this is the car chosen for the media test car, so let's jump in the review and show you around the car. So as usual, MINI Coopers, not much has changed with the design. It's kind of an iconic part of the brand in any case, so we will never see the brand overly transform in terms of its exterior, but you can tell that the front of the car has sort of been cleaned up a little bit. It's not as aggressive as it used to be. Of course, this isn't the MINI Cooper S or JCW spec. This is a regular MINI Cooper, but you can tell that generally everything has been sort of nipped and tucked a little bit, and I think this is kind of nice, and I think it does help consumers or MINI customers transition into the new era of Minis, which of course we know MINI has been quite committed to an electric future. So this car, I think, sets the tone for how the cars are going to look in future, and in fact we're probably going to see a more electrified version of the design in future. So this is a good stepping stone, a good interim point for us to get used to. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, we actually just attended the launch of the MINI Clubman Final Edition, and that was a really bittersweet moment, because we had to sort of say goodbye to the MINI Clubman. There's no longer going to be a MINI Clubman around. Future versions of the car are going to be electric, and we're not even sure whether it's going to be called the Clubman at all. But in any case, like I said, you know, MINI has sort of committed to a electric future, and I think cars like these with the newer, more minimalist design, I think help us to transition there. But in any case, I think I digress too much. Let's jump into some stuff here. So what we get here as standard are 17-inch wheels. These are actually really comfortable when I took them for a drive, and I'll share with you a little bit more later on as well. Down the side, everything's pretty standard here. And over on the rear, of course, you get your MINI Cooper emblem, single-sided exhaust pipe. So this is not a JCW spec or a MINI Cooper S, as I reminded you. And of course, you get your tail lamps, the signature tail lamps, with the Union Jack design. Now, because this is a soft top convertible, what you don't get is a lift back boot. In fact, what you get is a boot that looks like that. I have to unlock the car. Give me a moment. So this is the boot that you get in the Cooper Convertible. I'm not going to say it's tiny, because it is kind of small, but I mean, I think that's the trade-off you get for wanting a MINI or wanting a convertible in the first place, you do have to sacrifice some boot space. The roof mechanism does have to go somewhere. But it's still very usable for a grocery run, as I have experienced, because on Christmas Eve, I actually took this car out to my grocery run and I managed to come back with 3 to 4 bags full of groceries without any problems at all. Now, rather than my usual format of jumping into the car and showing you the interior, I am going to show you the interior by opening up the roof. So, after you jump into the car, the roof mechanism on the MINI Cooper Convertible is actually really seamless. So there is a button up here, press it, hold it, and it does a half open into what they call like a sunroof configuration. And then you pull it again and everything opens up. And then it says convertible roof movement complete. So that's really, really cool. So I'm going to step out of the car now and show you the exterior of the car once again with the roof down, because I think that's really, really nice. So as you can see, completely different vibes once the roof is down. This car really does look the part when it comes to stylish designs, and I'm absolutely in love with it. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful lifestyle tool. If you're looking for a car that isn't just going to be a car for you, but also going to be something that you bring around on your leisure trips, whether you're going to the beach, whether you're going out with your friends. I think this is all very, very awesome, and I absolutely love the interior. You can just see how the brown interior kind of pops with the silver white exterior. So for those of you who don't know, the MINI Cooper Convertible roof mechanism doesn't completely fold into the car. I think some of my friends were a bit concerned that I didn't bring the roof down completely, but this is indeed in the open configuration. Bring you a little bit closer to show you how it works. Obviously, this being an open mechanism, there would be some concerns about parking this car under some trees and having leaves fall into it, but I think as a potential owner of a MINI Cooper Convertible, you'll sort that out. I think you'll figure that out. Showing you the rest of the car. There are 4 seats in the car. They aren't the most roomy seats, but we aren't expecting them to be the most roomy seats. And they are quite upright, actually. So I would say these rear seats are really meant for smaller humans. If you're carrying like kids for a short distance, or if you have a dog, you have a large dog, I think this is a wonderful place to put your dog, because then they can enjoy the breeze together with you and still have enough space. Now moving to the front, what you can see here is of course the round infotainment unit there. This is probably one of the, 2023 model years are probably the last few that we're going to see this infotainment unit before MINI transitions to the full LED screen, which is really, really amazing. I mean, we haven't seen it on a car yet, but from what we see from media resources, the new LED screen is actually it occupies every inch of the round frame. So it no longer has a sort of a makeshift rectangular frame within the round frame. So the whole thing is going to be LED. I think that's really, really cool. Elsewhere, you got a digital driver's display. This kind of moves with your... Does this move with your... let me see. Let me check just to be sure. So this moves with your steering column, which means that you're always going to be able to find a configuration where you can see your digital driver's display, which is really good. Elsewhere, pretty standard stuff. In the middle, you still got your analog buttons. So these are all your, what we sort of call the airplane design buttons, the analog chrome buttons. Here is your drive selector, which still has a traditional stick, which I kind of appreciate. And most of all, I really appreciate the fact that this still has a handbrake. I'm not sure why. It doesn't actually do anything for the drive, but somehow or rather, I just kind of like it. Round aircon vents. Then in the middle, you've got these sort of weird shaped fans. These do a really great job. Car's not too big anyway, so air conditioning works very well all around the car. And generally speaking, build quality in this cabin I think is quite high end. I think Mini Coopers from previous generations or from a few generations ago, I think they were a little bit plasticky, but this one here, or this generation of Mini Coopers, in fact even from the previous generation, I think they're really, really well built and they look so good. The colors are just wonderful. But I guess that's really what the Mini brand is about, isn't it? It's about not just buying a car, but a car that has a certain personality or certain character, or a car that helps you to kind of exude that personality through your choice of colors. But in any case, let's jump into the car and go for a drive so that I can show you a little bit more about what the car can do. Alright guys, so taking the Mini Cooper Convertible out on the roads for a drive, and to get some basic specifications out of the way, this Mini Cooper Convertible basically shares the same drivetrain as the regular Mini Cooper, the non-convertible version of this. And this car runs a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine, and this is good for about 130 plus horsepower, 220 Newton meters of torque. So pretty good amount of power for a small car. And I'll admit that I haven't driven a Mini in quite a while actually, and I was actually pretty surprised at the amount of comfort that you can get from a car like that, because I expected this to be a little bit more uncomfortable, for lack of a better word. But actually around town, around humps, it's actually pretty comfortable. Suspension setup's actually really good, and on these stock tires, the car is actually decently comfortable. And around town, I don't think you're really gonna have any problems. I think the idea that Minis can be a bit rudimentary, I think that's probably a thing of the past. I think current generations, like the one that I'm driving today, they have actually had an elevated level of refinement applied to the car. So generally speaking, the car feels actually pretty premium, pretty comfortable to drive. And one thing that you immediately notice when you jump into the car, when you start driving around town, is that the car has a very, very nice steering weight. In fact, I think the steering weight in this car is probably a little bit heavier than the average large sedan that you get today. So a lot of the cars that you get today, they've been calibrated for super light steering around town, and of course that's to facilitate a certain ease of driving. And of course that's comfortable and nice and easy to operate, but with a slightly heavier steering feel, the entire car just feels like a much more sturdy car to drive. And from a driver's perspective, I mean, I won't say that this is representative of the entire population, but personally I actually really enjoy this increased steering weight. People always say that Minis feel like go-karts, and I think this is one of the things that help a Mini retain that sort of character that you get from a go-kart, which is of course the heavier steering feel, the pinpoint steering, and when you're going a little bit faster as well, when you're trying to go through a series of bends a little bit quicker, this heavier steering feel, in my opinion, also helps you to maneuver that a little bit more, like in a more assured manner. So the wheel is not super light, and vague in that sense. It's actually really accurate. You can feel exactly what you are doing with the car. Now, once we clear this little bit of traffic, I'll show you how the car performs as well. But generally speaking, this, to orientate everybody about the powertrain options that you get within the entire Mini lineup. So obviously at the top of the range, the Mini Cooper would come with a Cooper S John Cooper Works spec, but that's quite a lot more powerful. It's a different kind of car altogether. It's set up for a different kind of use. And then a little bit down that spectrum, you've got the Cooper S, which of course runs a 2-litre engine, and that's also a little bit performance oriented. Then you've got the Cooper drivetrain, which is the one that we have right here today on the convertible. And then furthest down the line, you have the MINI one, which is of course a base spec car. So in this particular car, engine's actually really responsive, and off the line, you've got a good amount of shove. And I think despite being 3 cylinders, having a fairly small engine, a 1.5 litre, a lot of the power has actually been calibrated down to the lower gears, so you do get a lot of power, a little bit more power off the line. Of course, when you're going up at higher speeds, then you'll probably start to feel a little bit of a difference between the 3 cylinder and the 4 cylinder. But I've driven this car up to about 130 kilometers per hour, and I must say it got there pretty easily. So no concerns about the lack of power, and no concerns about the way that it moves off. In fact, gear shifts are really quick as well, and I think that's also good for economy aside from performance. So I would say that this is a very enjoyable car to drive. Now, being a soft top convertible, there is always this concern that there is a little bit of cabin noise, or rather road noise or external noise, that's going to get into the cabin when you're driving around. And that's also true in this MINI convertible. You can't really escape from that, but obviously that's a necessary trade-off if you want the lifestyle option of having a soft top convertible. And I must say that, you know, people always talk about the noise coming in, but they don't exactly tell you how it comes in. So today I thought I'll just share a little bit about that. So, oh, did something happen? Seems like something happened. I think there's an accident ahead. Just give me a moment. Right, so anyway, so soft top convertibles, I would say the noise doesn't really come through the front as most people would expect. The noise actually comes through the C-pillar behind you, and I think that's because that's the portion of the soft top mechanism that contains the least amount of metal. In fact, that's probably the softest part of the roof, and that's also the part where a lot of noise comes in. When I say a lot of noise, this is probably what you would hear in terms of ambient noise. It's not terrible. You can still speak to your passenger, you can still talk, but it's definitely not as comfortable or as quiet as you would have in a regular hardtop car or a regular sedan car. So I think that's something that you really do have to know if you are driving or you're opting to buy a soft top convertible. Presumably you haven't actually owned one before, and then you want to purchase one. This is probably something that you would need to know, because I think this is probably the hardest part about owning a soft top convertible, because everything else is actually pretty enjoyable. It's just that when you are cruising, you do have to get used to the road noise a little bit more. But that being said, like I mentioned, you can still listen to your music, you can still talk to your passengers, so I don't think it's that much of a big deal. But perhaps on longer journeys, this amount of road noise coming in through the cabin might feel a little bit tiring, especially if you are coming from a car that is properly insulated in the past. But aside from that, because driving with the roof up already kind of creates this sound, and sometimes you get a bit concerned, like, oh, did I close my windows, or like you get that feeling like you haven't closed your windows. To a certain extent, it's kind of preferable you drive with the top down in a soft top convertible, because the noise that you get while driving with the top down is actually feels a lot more natural than if you would drive with the top up. So yes, you do get more noise if you drive with the top down, but it's a noise that you can sort of align with the speed that you're going. So you're driving at a certain speed, you feel the wind, or you feel feel like, you know, you're a little bit more aligned with your surroundings. Like it matches up the speed that you're going, the wind that you're feeling and the noise that you're hearing. So it's a little bit more natural in that sense. So actually what I realized was that I was driving with top down a few nights ago, and went to get some groceries, and actually that was a really enjoyable experience. So yeah, so that's probably something you want to consider or take note of if you are looking at a soft top convertible. But aside from that, now we are up on the roads at about 70, and car feels extremely stable. It feels much bigger than it is actually, because like I said, steering weight is very pleasant, and despite being a 3-cylinder, I would say it cruises really quite well. I don't really have the runway to go too fast this morning because it is sort of peak hour traffic right now. But like I mentioned, you know, previous nights or previous days, I was actually going up to about 130, and that was actually still really comfortable. So definitely something to consider if you are. I think the Mini Cooper is definitely something you should consider if you are looking for a lifestyle vehicle that, you know, gives you that feeling of freedom or openness. I don't know. I've never been a person who is into convertibles, and I've never owned one. But I must say that driving with the top down the other night, that was truly quite an experience, and it just made you feel a little bit more special, so to speak. And I think the Mini Cooper Convertible is probably one of the more reasonable ways for you to acquire one, because it's not too expensive. And when I say not too expensive, it's still about $200,000 in the current COE climate. But in any case, I think Singaporeans have gotten quite used to the COE market by now. So you buy what's within your means. As far as cars go, if you compare this against other convertibles on the market, this is still a fairly reasonably priced one. And honestly, you don't really need much more than this. So if you kick down, you can feel the gear kick down nicely. Nice amount of acceleration. No complaints whatsoever. You don't need a Cooper S in Singapore. That's my opinion. So, in any case, if I have missed out on anything about the car, and you have questions about the Mini Cooper Convertible that you would like to have answered, please leave your questions in the description box below. I will do my best to answer them, as long as they're not ridiculous questions or you're not just picking a fight online. But one gentle reminder before we go: if you are a driver in Singapore and you're looking to consign or sell your car for the best price possible, or if you are looking to renew your yearly insurance for your vehicle, please check out the link in the description box below, because through that link we will be able to assist you to do either of those things. Both insurance and consignment or used car selling is actually free to inquire. So if you are in need of those services, please do support us by checking out the links below. And if you have found this review useful or entertaining in any way, shape or form, we would really appreciate it if you gave the video a like and subscribe to the channel, because we've got new reviews coming out every single month. Sorry, not every single month, actually every single week. And we would love for you to join us for those reviews. And with that, please take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.